Well, there's the view down on the town here from about 200 feet there. And we've got the very start of a lull jet. It's not in full force, but we do have 30-knot winds up there, and it was knocking the drone around a little bit, but that's how it looked earlier. So let's take a look at the charts here, and this is showing the moisture feed. This is the precipitable water, and where we are here in Texas, you can see that we've got the Gulf open, and we've got about 3/4 of an inch of precipitable water. And if we roll this forward overnight into tomorrow, you can see the story for the forecast here tomorrow. By tomorrow evening, we've got 1.25 inches precipitable water, and we've got a very deep baroclinic system moving across the Great Plains, and that will start some thunderstorm activity from East Texas and East Oklahoma into the Mississippi River area. So let's start out with the basic charts here. You can see we've got a very mild pattern. This was the high temperatures for today. Some parts of Texas near 80 degrees with a downslope flow, 81 at Childress and 80 at Fort Stockton right there. So there's Childress and Fort Stockton. However, the front is moving in from the west, from the Four Corners area, and we've got much cooler temperatures in that area, high of 38 at Tonopah and 54 in Vegas. And that's pretty indicative of cold air coming through. So here's the thickness and isobar chart. And before we get into that, let me check my levels. Things are looking good. Okay, very good. So, deep system in the Four Corners area, and this is the cold air that's coming in behind over Nevada and down into eastern California. The fronts are looking kind of like this tonight. Cold front southward through about Deming down to Baja California, and then a warm front, or I should say stationary front, eastward along the Interstate 70 corridor, then up to Iowa. So this is our system coming together here, and we should see a dry line starting to develop along the western edge of the moisture return, so somewhere in that area right there. Surface chart this evening is looking like this. Let's bring up the analysis, pressure, and the fronts. So there we go. Let's see here. Let's get my preview window open. So front on the way, about to hit New Mexico there, and you can see some very gusty winds back behind that. And out ahead of it in New Mexico, kind of a mild day, temperatures up almost to 60, and pretty good southerly flow in that area there. Down in Texas, we can see the dry line starting to take shape. We've got 50s dew points along the Interstate 35 area at East Texas. In fact, we've got 60s around the Houston and Victoria area, and you compare that with the teens and 20s where we have the downslope flow in this area here. So obviously we've got air mass from different source regions, and with this low pressure area right there pulling the contrasts together, we're going to see that intensify, and this zone right here is where we're going to have the dry line start setting up. So that'll be sometime overnight into tomorrow morning, probably initially somewhere in that area, and of course that could go back and forth either way during the morning. So out west, this is the post-dry line air, and let's take a look at east. We've got the receding high there over the southeast U.S., kind of a mild day in that area, and up north, surprisingly warm, mostly 30s. It looks like just about everybody above freezing except for far northern North Dakota and far north part of Maine. And then going way out west, looks like we got an occluded system off of Vancouver Island, Victoria Island. I can't remember that big island where Comox and Victoria is. Occluded system approaching that, and then out over California, we've got the post-cold front air coming through Southern California there. Not much to see on the radar. We've got some showers there in Arizona. With these western systems, we have a very strong inclination for an antifront setup, where we have a lot of the precip back behind the front. So you can kind of see that most of the precip back in this area, and we're not detecting all of the precip due to the sparse radar network, but and also the weak moisture. But it's back behind the front like that. And then that takes us to the potential temperature chart. You can see right there where the cold front is probably located, definitely somewhere between Deming and Safford, and somewhere between maybe Grants and Gallup. So it is coming into New Mexico at this hour, and then over here is the Canadian front moving through eastern Colorado. So we're going to have some things to look at tomorrow night, very likely. Let's watch the progress of that front through the southwestern states. This is earlier this morning, thanks to College DuPage here, and you can see the wind flow showing a very strong cyclonic pattern. Looks like the low pressure is somewhere around Kingman up to western Grand Canyon. And then as the day goes on, you can see the very strong northwesterly flow spreading into the deserts and across Phoenix. And then we're left somewhere right here, showing the strong westerly component there in eastern Arizona. And let's watch the progress of the front coming out into Texas. Okay, there we go. We warm up today, strong downslope flow in the Llano Estacado to the Caprock. There's the 80s taking shape around Childress. And then if you look out west, you can see the front approaching. This is around midnight tonight. There it is, approaching Albuquerque. And then by tomorrow morning, just after dawn, it's going to be crossing probably into the Panhandle, somewhere in there. And let's see here, by 18Z, this is about midday. It's probably going to be coming off the Caprock. And we're kind of looking in this area where we have the strong winds there. That's a very good indicator of where the front is. And then by sunset, it's coming into the Dallas-Fort Worth area down to about San Antonio. So this is when we're going to start getting some initiation of thunderstorms. And then further to the north, we've got the Canadian front working its way in from Kansas and Colorado there. So then as the night goes on, things are going to push eastward. There's the front right there moving into Arkansas and Louisiana. And then by, let's see here, by Monday midday, that'll be pushing into Mississippi and Memphis there. Okay, let's go to the satellite real quick. All right, there we go. That's the infrared imagery at this time. You can see all the activity out there in the Four Corners area up to Colorado. Lots of mid and high cloud in that area especially. And off the Pacific coast, you can see the strong northerly flow with the cold air and the low levels pushing southward. Strong cold air advection in that area. Okay, let's see here. Let me take a look at chat. Ron Chalfant is here from out there in Southern California, Tom J. We've got Jeff Krob and Megan John waiting on the snowstorm, 32 degrees in Minnesota. Ron Chalfant says, here we go. Adam Davis says, good evening, folks, gearing up for the last semester of college. Very good. Tom J. waiting there in Las Cruces, New Mexico, close to El Paso, waiting for the Pacific Front. David Moore joining us, and Fun with Tech, Burl H., Mr. Manlet, 30 degrees in Rockford. Mr. Manlet noting the marginal risk from northeast Texas up to the Springfield, Missouri area. And for Monday, the Gulf Coast states. Jeff Krob notes it's a bit early for the Plain states, most definitely. Tom J. says it was a very nice day in southern New Mexico today. Jeff Krob says I'm a bit late tonight. I thought we started right on the nose there at 8 o'clock. Let me check my cell phone here. 8:11. I think we started on time from what I've got here. Megan John reporting portions of Minnesota near the Twin Cities, forecasting near a foot of snow. And Mr. Man noting the 500 millibar jet max over Oklahoma tomorrow. Carl Berghoff is here. Adam Davis mentioning he's studying communications, TV production, and journalism. And that was quite a lot of fun during the 2 years I was doing that. Ron Chalfont mentions the front passing through Southern California on the aviation weather numerical data. Kathy Campbell-Walsh joining us on the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming. Mike Estwick notes he's about to get snowed in Denver. 35 degrees, cloudy at this time. There's what the sounding looks like in Texas this morning. Let me see if I can update that, get a more recent. There we go. And this is showing the 30-knot flow, the start of a low-level jet taking shape there, kind of a south-southwesterly direction there. In the mid-levels, we've only got 5 to 10 knots there, and we've only got 40 knots in the upper levels, so there's still a ways to go before we pull this upper-level energy into the area. But we've got the start of a loaded gun sounding. There's the inversion there in the mid-levels, and also dry air, so this is indicative of subsidence that's been working on the column, and not much moisture at this time. We've only got about 8 grams per kilogram. I'm reading it on this olive legend right here. You can also, if you want to, read the dew point, although dew point is not a conserved property, so we kind of prefer to read the grams per kilogram, but you can read the dew point. You would just take that and then go up to, you would go up the blue lines, and you'd read about dew points roughly in the 50s on the low levels there. So not much moisture, and that will probably increase by tomorrow morning and midday. Okay, we're going to head right into the forecast. This is going to be a slightly short weathercast tonight, since we've got some plans here. But I'm going to go ahead and take you into the forecast. Going to look at the NAM, since we've got some mesoscale action here. And what we're going to see here is the system coming out of New Mexico, coming into the West Texas area. And you may not be able to see it very well on the isobars, but you can definitely see it on the thickness. There's a line right there. So, yeah, 4 lines right there, and that's going to put the front somewhere in this area. And we're looking at about dawn, 6 a.m. So that's the front moving into the Texas Panhandle there. And out ahead of it, rather homogeneous air mass. But if you look at the isobars, we've got the Gulf open. So that's going to advect moisture up tomorrow, and likely we'll have a low-level jet somewhat like that, flowing up from Victoria and Houston up to East Texas or East Oklahoma and the Springfield, Missouri area. As the day goes on, this is going to be midday. Looks like the front is making some progress out into the northwest Texas area around Abilene and San Angelo. Gulf is still open, although most of the advection looks like it's on the eastern Texas Gulf Coast, not so much in this area, because typically we see that start down in the Rio Grande River, not on this situation here. We've probably got the dry line set up, and it looks like it's in that area right there. We got showers going up about 4 to 5 p.m. And then by 9 o'clock, that's going to be extending from about just south of Paris, Texas, down to about the Waco Temple area. And then as the night goes on, the cold front comes through Texas, scoops underneath that wedge of thunder, like a wedge underneath the storms, and those will push into the Mississippi River region overnight into Monday morning. And there they are. And it's got this fragmented look here, which tells me that we probably don't have a good mix of ingredients to get these showers going. Now, one way we can kind of figure that out is to sample the column, and I'll click on the diagram and bring up the sounding and see if I can see what's wrong here. Now, a quick way you can do it on this this is a Sharpie diagram, and if you're using Sharpie, you can kind of look at this to kind of see what's going on. It shows that the LCL is looking good. The storm relative helicity is also good. I can definitely see that curvature right there. But the CAPE is a little bit on the marginal side. Bulk wind difference is also a little bit low. And the storm, the supercell indices are also low there. And I can see right here on this diagram the instability does look to be on the weak side. This is the moist adiabatic lapse rate, and the sounding is definitely pretty much at that same lapse rate there. So not much instability, and definitely not a cap either. Let me go back and look at the evening data just to see if we had a cap on this day. So we're looking at Sunday in East Texas, and we've got an uncapped air mass. So what that means is wherever we have the boundary set up, we're probably going to get a line of multiple cells all developing at once. We do have a little bit of storm relative helicity early on right there. Looks like Sharpie is not picking up on that so much. However, we do have some very strong winds aloft, and there's pretty good anvil level storm relative helicity there. So that kind of setup here would support LP-ish to classic modes if we were able to get supercells going. And this also tends to prevent storm formation to a certain extent until we get strong low-level forcing taking place, and that's what we're seeing here with the cold front starting to undercut those storms right there. So things go kind of linear. We've probably got the strongest forcing up there in Arkansas and Missouri, but not so much down in Louisiana. We're looks like the big thing we're missing is instability there. So that's going to move eastward and be out of the picture, and the 540 decameter thickness line comes all the way down to Dallas. So it should be another cool day coming up. And then let's look at the medium range. We'll go to the GFS and look at the rest of the country here, because this will have some impact elsewhere. So there's the system coming out in New Mexico and Colorado, and we can see by midday cold front coming out into the central Texas area. Here's the warm front extending up to Iowa. And then you can see the track of this system goes up through Kansas, up to Iowa. And typically we see snow to the left of that track. That's kind of a long time rule of thumb there for placing heavy snow accumulations. So there's our frontal placement, maybe a little bit more like that. Further north, we've got the occluded front. And then north of the surface low, some heavy snow right there. From north of Omaha, looks like south of Sioux Falls, and into southern Minnesota there for Monday. Also a few thunderstorms in Tennessee there, and looks like a little bit of rain and mixed precip up in Ontario and Quebec. So we'll see if we can take a look at the accumulations here. I'll bring up that product while we're waiting. So this will be out of the picture by Tuesday and Wednesday, mostly moving up to the Canadian Maritimes and Ontario and Quebec. You can see we've got a pretty quiet pattern for the middle of the week. New system coming in from the Pacific on Thursday. Similar track to what we had over the weekend, and that's going to come over the Rockies sometime around Friday. You can see the strong pressure falls taking place there in Colorado, so this may be indicating a more northern track. Strong flow off the Gulf, although it does look like the trajectories are coming from cooler waters there. And here's our system coming out of the Rockies on Saturday. Looks like we do get some thunderstorms going up, similar to what we have Sunday. This is on Saturday night next weekend. GFS going for some high precip there in Louisiana. And then looks like a little bit of snow there from South Dakota up to Minnesota in that corridor there. And then it's going to be kind of quiet through the following week. And here comes our next weather change around Wednesday the 31st. And this will take a similar track, maybe a little further south from Iowa into the Great Lakes region there. And then another system predicted for February 4th there, but that's getting pretty far out. And then we'll take a quick look at the precip. This is the snow total. Oh, I got the accumulated QPF here. Hang on a second. I guess we can look at that QPF there, see how much rain. This is going to be a 24-hour total. Looks like some areas of Louisiana and Arkansas are getting about 3/4 to 1 inch. This isn't really a whole lot. However, it looks like we're picking up a few 1-inch amounts up from Chicago to Detroit there. And you can see up here around Sioux City up to Minneapolis, QPF's running about 1.5 inches. So if we have enough cold air, that's definitely going to be favorable for some heavy snow there. And then we'll take a look at our snowfall. And there's that track there from central Nebraska up through the Twin Cities and up to the UP of Michigan. And I can see a lot of 8 to 10 inch amounts and a few spotty 14-inch totals. And then the southern edge of that snow, that's going to be from about Chanute all the way to Paducah and out to Lexington, Kentucky. And we'll just check the next system that comes through over the weekend. And that track is a little bit further north, and at this time it looks a little bit weaker. Okay, let me take a look at the chat here. Jeff Krob reporting a blank screen. Yeah, sometimes YouTube servers get kind of cranky there, and you have to hit refresh. So yeah, definitely do that if you're having problems. Jeff Krob mentioning wind grids tutorial videos. Very good. So he says search wind grids in YouTube. So Carl mentioning quite the storm coming up in his area, heavy snow and wind. Megan John mentions the NAM and the GFS have been split on snow accumulations, especially for Minnesota. Yeah, we'll take a look at that tomorrow, and I think we'll probably have the models coming into agreement a little bit better by then. And Adam Davis reporting no relief for the plains as far as rain from the look of it. Okay, 8:24, that's about all I got for tonight. I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully by tomorrow, I was hoping to go HD today, but I've got to get an Ethernet cable to run directly to the router. I'm on Wi-Fi right now, and I'm getting like maybe 1.3 megabit upload. So hopefully we'll get that fixed tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching the webcast, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.